When you focus on the past, do you focus on all the failures, missed opportunities, all the things you would have done differently, all the disappointments? Or do you focus on all the things you did accomplish, all the ways you grew, everything you've learned, and how much you've grown as a person? We all can go either direction. The choice is ours. What do we focus on? Do we focus on the lessons, on the successes? Do we celebrate ourselves and others? Or do we focus on the things we couldn't control, all the ways we messed up, and the regrets we have? So, what is your choice? I always try and look at life without regrets and with a mind that is open to learning everything about myself, about the world around me, and constantly growing. The past year was pretty challenging for all of us, but it was an opportunity to grow in more than one way. And today I will be sharing my 10 lessons I've learned during the 2020, the year of the world going crazy. First lesson I've learned is you cannot control other people's thoughts, emotions, and actions. You only have control over yourself. You cannot control anything else outside of you. To focus on what I can control and not trying to mold myself and fit into everyone else's expectations and trying to prove myself and my worth to others. And that brings me to my second point, which is I stopped looking for my worth outside of myself. And this one is the hugest one of all because I've been struggling all my life with the sense that I need someone else to validate my worth, my success, whatever that was. But the truth is, your worth is yours, and no one can take that away from you because you are a human being. And no matter what you do, it's yours. You are worthy because you're a human being, not a human doing. The same is with your happiness. If you pursue happiness outside of yourself, you may find it for a brief moment of time, but you cannot hold on to it because the sense of fulfillment and happiness is something you practice every day. The next lesson, I've already kind of mentioned this, but I'm only responsible for myself. I am taking responsibility for my happiness, for my successes, for my failures, for everything that is my life. Everything else outside of that is out of my control and not my responsibility. But we do have a responsibility to be kind, compassionate, and open to other people and treat people fairly and with respect. But anything else that we are blaming someone else for our unhappiness and for our failures is not productive, and it takes away the power because we all have power in our lives. We are powerful beings, and when we realize that we control the destiny of ourselves no matter what happens around us, that becomes a source of strength and self-trust. The next thing 2020 isolation year has taught me is that I really needed to learn more about myself, to really reevaluate all of the patterns that were happening that I wasn't aware of. And the powerful thing is when you consciously shed light on those subconscious things, thoughts, and patterns, you begin to notice, and then you can start and change them. The next lesson is kind of connected to the last one and is to question my thoughts and emotions and detaching from whatever I was feeling or thinking. And this one is a huge one because most of my life I've been struggling with detaching, and I was identifying with my thoughts. I couldn't get out. It was just an endless downward spiral. One negative thought was followed by another, and I couldn't get out, and I didn't know how to help myself. It took a lot of time, a lot of practice, and a lot of discipline to really talk back to your negative thoughts. Because when you are irrational and having irrational thoughts, they sound really convincing. They sound really true. But gaining perspective, and for me, it helped me to write them down, whatever I was thinking and feeling, and then acting as if I was my parent or my best friend or someone who really cared about me, and talking back to those negative self-beliefs. Reprogramming your negative beliefs takes so much effort, but it's crucial to your happiness and well-being. I really see so much benefit from just diving into yourself and pulling out all the weeds and the programming you had since you were a child. If you're interested in this type of work, in reprogramming your negative beliefs, in reparenting yourself, and really diving deep into your patterns, you can DM me on mindshiftschool or send me an email. The links will be in the description. We can schedule a free call so that we can get to know each other, and I can see how can I help you with your whatever issues in your life are currently. The next huge lesson I've learned from 2020 was my codependency patterns. This is a huge topic and deserves a video on itself. So if you're interested, I will do a video on codependency and how was my own process of breaking free from all those patterns in my life. Before, I was just thinking I had any control over my circumstances or what goes on. It's a tough one. It's something that takes a lot of time and a lot of reprogramming work, but it's so worth it. The next lesson is building trust with myself. And this means to me keeping promises you made to yourself. This one is such a freeing thing. When we make promises to other people, it's important to keep them. But when we make promises to ourselves, we just kind of give excuses more often than not. And this is so detrimental to your self-esteem and your self-trust. So really acting as if you are the most important person in your life, and when you make promises to yourself, you keep them. And that is building trust. That is like a relationship, and you are building a relationship with yourself. Just like the positive self-talk, this is kind of like that in a sense that it builds your self-esteem, it builds your competence, and it builds your resilience so that you don't rely on anyone else for your success, for your happiness, and for your well-being. And that is such a freeing feeling. The next lesson I've learned is I am a resilient and capable person, and I will be okay no matter what happens. And this kind of ties together with the other ones, but it's also so self-empowering for all my codependents out there. It means that when you build that trust in yourself, in your abilities, you stop feeling anxious and just worried all the time, because you know you'll be okay. And this takes a lot of practicing getting out of your comfort zone. But you can also envision your worst fears. Just close your eyes and imagine yourself going through that, and just let it destroy you, because you won't. You will survive. We all have some fears or traumas from the past, beliefs we have that we can't deal, we won't be able to deal, we won't be able to survive if that thing happens. When you practice living through that moment, whatever that moment is, you start to see that the worst case scenario is not really that big of a deal. This takes you to build trust with yourself first, so that you can know that you will be okay. Next lesson quarantine taught me is to look into myself. Social isolation really made me face myself head on. Things I didn't want to look at, all the patterns, all the negative beliefs, all the baggage I was carrying, beliefs about myself, about the world, but also really going back to my real self. Re-examining my values this time really helped me to center myself and face a lot of bad stuff, but also learn so much about myself. And that enabled me to really look at myself in a more realistic light and really establishing my foundation. And the final lesson 2020 has taught me is to let go. Letting go can be difficult, it can be challenging, and really takes time and self-compassion. No matter what or who you need to let go of, whether it's a person or a thought, belief pattern, your work, whatever it is, that attachment makes it like we cannot live without it, and it skews our perception of the world. Learning to really let go and focus on what you can do is huge, and we can only do so much. It's really my worst and my best year ever. I'm really thankful for all the mindset changes that occurred for me in the past year. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload next time. I will see you in my next video. Bye!